So welcome to SeniorFlix. So what we're doing today is we're talking to people from different cultures and sort of exploring that. And we have so many interesting people here at Shepherd Village. And one of the particularly interesting people here is Carlota, who's lived here for some long time. And she has an interesting background, interesting story. Yeah, so Carlota, so it was in 1948 that you left China and you went to the Philippines.
Arrived there in 49, right, yeah.
49.
Yeah.
So what was that like as a young lady at that time? What was that like, that sort of transition?
Of course, immediately arriving there, it was difficult because I did not know how things would work, right? First arriving there, basically, everybody that were on the ship immediately were taken to a place that's called Welfareville.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of refugees on the boat
Yes.
left. Many of them were Russians, what we called white Russians
Yeah.
in the Philippines.
Yeah.
They were the ones who fled Russia.
Yeah.
when communism
But
took
for
place.
you as a 14-year-old girl, what was the sort of the obvious differences then?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. In school, in the beginning, I felt, and that's not something I thought about greatly then, but even recently I've been thinking about all of the people here suffering from, bullying,
Yes.
where people a lot are
Yes.
bullied.
Yes.
Because when I was first there in school, of course, a lot of people asked me questions, spoke to me, and I always answered in English. That's because my Tagalog, which is the Philippine dialect,
Yes.
was not as, smooth.
Right.
So I
yes.
answered in English. And I was accused of, oh, what's the matter? Can't you basically just, we're asking you in Filipino and you're answering English.
Yeah.
Why? Because you want to prove that you're the better in English.
And children at that age can be cruel, can't they?
Right. So
Yeah.
that's why now I'm thinking that was equivalent maybe to bullying,
Yeah.
although there was no talk of bullying then, right?
No. Yeah.
And
Okay.
not only that, and sometimes going places, traveling on the buses were not the same as the buses here. I was so happy to learn that the buses here stopped at each point,
Yeah. Yes.
But there, if you wanted to stop, you had to say something like, para, stop.
Yes. Yeah.
But when I said that, I didn't say it right.
Okay.
And everybody would turn around and look at me. I would then go home and I would tell about my difficulties.
Yeah.
And then my father would actually say, okay, because the distance is not that far, so you take a taxi.
Yeah.
But that didn't solve anything. Because when I tried to explain the taxi, where to turn or what to
Yeah.
what,
Yeah.
the driver would actually say, aren't you Filipino?
Okay.
Why are you talking to me in?
Yeah.
So you know that difficulty.
Yeah. So that transition from China to the Philippines was not easy.
Not easy.
Not easy.
Although shortly then after that,
Yeah.
being grown, and then later on, exploring the the employment opportunities,
Yeah.
then things, of course, you got a little smarter.
Yeah.
I like to think. Yeah. And,
Very good.
And then you got to learn.
Yeah.
And actually, that's when I saw in the Philippines, there was an ad that said, this station, the newspaper, the Manila Times, is now having a new station called DZWS, the women's station. The women's station.
In Manila, in
Yeah,
the
in
Philippines.
Manila. So when I heard that, I said, wow, this is so different.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so then I thought I would apply.
Yeah.
And I did get accepted, although I applied only part-time.
Yeah.
Because at that time I was working for Ford, not the Ford Motor Company, but there were, see, this is the practice of businesses. Many businesses would have an office in Manila who would, with maybe a few executives who would supervise the company there, as well as other companies in the Far East,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
And so I was working for the Ford executives.
Yeah.
And so after work, I would go to the station
Yeah.
and work from 6 o'clock. And that was interesting
Yeah.
because I had programs like cocktail hour, starting from 6,
Yeah.
the cocktail hour,
Yeah.
2 of a kind. And I had French, called Paris After Dark. Paris After
Really?
Dark.
Yeah.
And then, of
Interesting.
course, Concert Hall of the Air.
Yeah.
But you should know I hated classical music at that time. But I had to learn. And there was, then there was the opportunity when that company decided to open another station called DZTM, which is, whereas WS was catered to women, 2, 4, women. This one was like more highly structured.
Okay. Yeah.
And so, and you know what I did?
Yeah.
I taught languages. Not because, but I went to embassies
Yeah.
to get from them material that I could present on the radio. So, yeah, and
Right.
that languages.
You've had an interesting life, Madame. You've had an interesting life.
Well, thank you very much. And I am happy, of course, to be here.
Good.
Not just in Canada,
Yeah.
but I'm happy to be here at
Shepherd
long-term
Village
care,
in the
because I've been able to learn and experience the actual fact of living here.
yeah.
Of course, no place is perfect, right? The only perfect place would be
Yeah.
when we go there.
I think
Yeah.
so. That's right. Yeah. Thanks
okay.
again, then, Carlota. This has been really interesting.
Thank you kindly.
Thank
for
you
your-
so much.
And I'm happy to have met you. Yeah.
Thank you.
personally.
And same here.
Okay.
Same here. Thank you.